Hola, film gods. It's Isusko. I just firstly want to give a massive shout out to everyone that's still listening. Lockdown 2, essential journeys only. Feels like feel like there's a lot of essential journeys happening at the minute. It's just been such an amazing year. It's the end of November. It's like holy moly, it's just flown by. And I just want to give a massive shout out. We've got another number one down in South Africa, so big up to all of my South African peeps. We're in the Spanish charts, we're in the Russian charts, we're in the American charts. You know, it really does mean the world that you're all listening. And if you want to help, listen on the Apple podcast app, because that helps us get into more charts. If you're on Spotify or something like that, just go over to Apple iTunes if you can, because it really does help us out. Drop a little review in the Apple iTunes podcast. Again, all those things help with the ratings. And today's episode with Catharine Brown is just an amazing ep, because it just typifies what it is to be a film crew, and a British film crew, because they're the people that I know and love. And it's just how she's not used lockdown to kind of take a step back. She's pushed herself forward. The love that she has for her job, the love that she has for her role and for everyone that's helped her. And she's keeping that karma cycle going by helping out the people coming up, through her team. So have a little listen, drop some reviews. Big love. Speak soon. This computer, and we are recording. Woohoo! So hello, ladies and gents. You are just about to have an amazing time listening to this episode. And we've had a quick chat offline. I think there's going to be loads of great stuff for people doing it now that want to progress, and the next generation coming in. I'm so happy. I've kind of been pestering her for a few months, and finally she's got a bit of time free. Yay! So without further ado, what is your name and what is your role on the call sheet?
My name is Catharine Brown, and on the call sheet I'm down as either the focus puller or the first AC. Yeah.
Amazing. And what does that mean to you when you go on set and you're the first AC and you're the focus puller? What does it mean to you to be on that set?
Well, I have quite a bit of responsibility for a number of reasons, but the main thing is that I'm responsible for what happens to that camera and the kit during the day of the shoot. But I'm also I'm under the guidance of the director of photography, and I do whatever they need me to do. And during the shoot, I have to technically keep images sharp or soft, or whatever the director and the DP want. But I usually, after a while of with some experience, you can usually work out what's happening in how you're telling the story, or how you're shooting the product, and you can work out all the physics parameters, all the optical and physical parameters that kind of help you create an image. And the most important thing for me, and the thing that I concentrate on, is the lenses, the particular lenses that are chosen for that job, for that day of work.
Nice. And just talking offline before we kind of hit record, you were mentioning about all of the kind of prep that goes into the job that you're specifically doing at the minute. Now, being an AD on set and being a runner, you kind of turn up and it's just like you're helping the boxes unload out the Airy van or the Panavision, whatever. But just talk us through then that process of we'll kind of deal with your history. But I really was really interested about the prep to what you do to the point that then you turn up on set.
Well, when I'm first asked to do a job, a short form job, a commercial, a corporate, days on documentaries, things like that, a concert.
I've seen you've done a few of those concerts like before
over
lockdown.
the years,
Oh, it looks amazing.
Oh no, I haven't done concerts for a while. It's Oleg and Warren and all that lot who do all the concerts now. But I have been working on a really interesting documentary about Robbie Williams, which has been amazing. So
Wow.
anyway, so
Yeah.
I get the job. Well, the DOP asked me if I would like to do the job and I'm available. And then I say, yeah, that'd be lovely. And then they tell production manager. Production manager then says, for this number of days, we've got a prep day. And usually in commercials, usually I always have a prep day. And so I'll go to whichever rental house. I'll go with a camera list that the DP's given me, as well as getting a list from the rental house. And before I go to the rental house, I check the list and I ask about the job and what we're doing in the job, where it will be. And then I'll think about the kind of bigger picture of the kit and how will that manage logistically on the day of the shoot or on the few days of the commercial. And then I will suggest that we may need such and such and such and such, whereas the DP has thought specifically about the lenses and the look and the style of something and worked with the grip to work out how they're going to achieve where to put the camera and everything. So I'll go to the prep armed with two lists to cross-reference, and then I'll go into the prep room, test room, and then the first thing I do is project the lenses, because
Sounds like the lenses are really important.
They're the eyes. They're like the crown jewels.
Nice.
And I project the lenses on the projector at whichever rental house, check that they're all coming up, and then I take them back to the test room, build the camera, build all the accessories that I need to use or that the operator / DOP needs to use. And then, just make sure everything is working for the next day. And I usually build the camera so it's ready to go. So all you need on it is some power and the second to put a digital magnet. And we put the camera in a coffin, which is not a very nice term, but that's what we do. We always ask for coffins. So basically the kit arrives with the grips kit, the camera kit. We roll into the studio through the doors.
Yay, and make magic, make movie history.
and then I open the coffin, take the camera out, and hopefully it's fine. And it's all ready to go, basically. And on prep days, it's really good because you generally don't have a lunch break. You might have something to eat at your desk in the test room, but I think it's really important to use that time to check things with production, to check where we're going to be, what's going to happen. I always phone the sound mixer. I always phone the video playback person.
Nice.
Because I want them to know what camera we're using. I want them to know which connections are on it, so they know they've got the right cables because that
sounds very thorough.
Yeah, but that's because with modern high performing cameras, if you like the Arri cameras and Sony Venices and DXLs and more people can interface with those cameras. It's astounding. Obviously the DITs play a massive role in that as well, but depending on the type of work you're doing, there are so many options nowadays for different departments to be able to interface with your camera somewhere. And you don't really you're quite protective about the camera. You don't want people just coming along and chucking things on without your permission. There's a kind of it's mine, and I'm looking after it, and I want to make sure no one does anything to damage it. But at the same time, that's how technology and that's how filmmaking has progressed. So if you establish straight away in your prep a good relationship with the video assist and the sound mixer, then you turn up, you're turning up to work the next day and you've already had a conversation about the job. You might have just had a little few moments of catching up after not seeing them for ages. And then it's like, off you go. You're ready.
Amazing. I quite like that, because again, I kind of hadn't really thought about, you know, when you're saying like the camera and you're quite protective. It'd be like me as a second and I'm looking after my cars, and all of a sudden, you know, some random person just came and just stole 3 of the cars and took them away, and you're like, no, hold on, I need to, you know, it's
because you know, like everyone, and well, in the grips and camera department, you know, no one would ever really come along. Only the DOP or an operator, if they would ever come along and just grab the camera and run. I mean, obviously there are lots of situations like that. There are DPs who that's just in their instinct, and it's the type of work you might be doing with them, where they'll just get the camera and go, put it on my shoulder now, let's go. And you're like, yeah, off we go. But then there are other times when, you know, depending on where you are, you might have just be entering into a storm, or you're going up a mountain, or you're in some grimy cellar somewhere in, I don't know, far east near the river. And you need to protect that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Film cameras are actually much more robust. But all the technology that's involved with cameras nowadays, it's so sensitive to moisture, corrosive sea air, water anyway, dust, too much heat, all these things. You know, you've got these sensors that are varying sizes that are capturing through a filter all this information. And you've got all these fans at the back of the box trying to control the temperature so it doesn't mess up the colors, and the camera doesn't suddenly stop working. So it's all those things that you're having to manage as well. But I'm not just managing them by myself. There's the DIT, there's my second AC, and so we all know bits of the camera, and how to manage certain bits of it, and how to work out what's best with how to distribute power in order to power all the extra accessories and the extra little monitors we've got, and the extra types of Teradek or Vaxis, the video senders, you know, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it just goes on and on, all the stuff that you're constantly learning and having to reacquaint yourself with, or, you know, it's endless.
That learning curve. Let's start from the beginning then, because right now, kind of top of the game, all the information, you're amazing at what you do. Obviously, there was a point in time where you had no idea. And did you even know that camera was where you wanted to go, or what's your story?
No, no idea. I did photography at school and kind of further education college.
Yep.
I did it to A-level standard, and I did art and English, a bit of sociology. And then I took photographs at school with my mates a lot. I took a camera in when I was like 14, 15. I used to smuggle it in and we used to pretend that we were having fights and things and or taking pictures of boys. And
blowing them up.
That's how my photography started.
Look, I got a picture of Trevor. Look at the picture of Trevor.
Oh, look, no, well, there wasn't a tripod. It was just in my pocket.
Oh,
and anyway, so I did my A-levels, and then I went traveling for a bit and came back. Didn't really know what I wanted to do at university, but I applied for the Central School of Speech and Drama to be a speech and language therapist.
Wow, amazing.
My grades weren't that quite as good as I needed, but at the same time, I was asked to come up to London for a month to help work with 2 photographers to cover somebody who was away on a film for a month. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And they were amazing. And after the end of that month, they said, do you want to stay? Do you want to stay with us and be our assistant? So I worked with them for about 3.5 years.
Wow.
Chris Clun and Lawrence Watson, and they were big music photographers in the 90s. all around this kind of Britpop and wall of sound and drum and bass and all that scene. I was completely became immersed in.
Wow.
And
That would have been such an amazing time to be in that
it was
world.
really good because I ran their studio in Highbury. I went on all their photographic assignments, which were all music related. A bit later on, they kind of did a bit more documentary stuff, but they also, both of them, directed music videos. So I would see all these like crew and small shoots go on in our studio in Highbury Fields. And so I learned so much from them. They taught me how to manage things, how to do accounts, how to run your own accounts. They had a dark room so I could print. They were really, really encouraging. And I think I was 22 when I went to work for them. And from then on, I moved on and became a freelance PA through people I met with them. And
just straight out into production, just forget
I just
creativity no
talked
more.
to different production managers and people I met, and I also my brother also worked in the industry, so I would go on as a runner on or PA with him, and so he taught me quite a bit of stuff. And then I got a job as a PA for Rick Woolard and Russell Curtis had a little production company. Amazing. So I went and became their PA for about a year and worked on promos. And then after that,
two big names. Gotta get them on.
I was like, they were brilliant. Actually, they were so funny and they were brilliant, and they're still, I'm still hugely fond of them. And Russell now lives down here on the South Coast, so he's someone I've known for such a long time, and he's such an incredibly kind person, and he's very, very good at what he does, and he cares very deeply about storytelling as well. So after
and did
that,
you enjoy the production, or did you always have an eye on the creative?
You know what? I think the production helped me it taught me how to be more organized and how to think about the detail of organizing things. And so I think I'm quite good at that. I think that's one of the things that I quite enjoy, the kind of organization and management of things.
I guess that kind of boils, but it also kind of reverts back to when you were talking about when you're in prep and you talk to sound and you talk to other, maybe if someone hasn't done anything in production, they'd just be like, I'm going to talk to camera, and that's what I'm going to, like, they don't have that wider picture.
Also, what they don't have, which is really common, is a knowledge of the equipment. And when you don't have knowledge about something, you tend to feel a bit more insecure about discussing those items. And, I try and think about how they must be when they're going, oh yeah, do we need this mat box and that mat box and da-da-da. So what I do, I just simply explain why we need that particular piece of kit, because that's how that kit needs to be used for a reason, because we're shooting with the camera in this way, and that's why we need that piece of kit, and describe exactly what that kit is. So I think I hope that I teach them at the same time about the equipment. And
I guess you already had that knowledge when you became a PA.
Exactly.
Because of your photography background. Yeah,
and that the production managers who I sense are less experienced, just because they're younger, that they shouldn't be afraid to ever ask people, camera department, what things are, and because it really helps them learn.
I think that's across the board. Yeah. Sound, if you are a PA or and you jump up to be a PM and you are talking to someone on the phone, to a crew member, about something you don't understand, don't ever pretend that you know what they're saying, because it's only going to be like 2 hours later or 2 days later that you need to rehab that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we make mistakes and we think, oh no, I should have got that instead of this.
Mm.
Of course, we need to do that. And you have to go back and have that discussion. So you've kind of got to keep things open with people, but you've also, I think it's really helpful if you know what things are to pass that information down.
Completely.
So they understand. So you're communicating. You're not going, no, I want this and I want it now, and I don't care what you think. Some people are like that, and they, it doesn't, I don't think it gets them very far.
I don't think I've ever seen you raise you're so like, everything's just true, just tranquilo. It's like, everything's calm, everything's cool. As you even when we're talking now, it's like your voice it's like, it's nice and chilled. And that must be such an important thing to have when everything's kind of going crazy bonkers on set. Just being able to take a step back and going, all right, let's just deal with this calmly.
That's true. People do think I'm quite calm, but then sometimes there might be a shot that I'm doing, like a really hard focus pull.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do, in my head, I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And it's usually like 10 minutes before lunch or like 10 minutes before wrap or something like that. There's a really, like, just for example, say a food commercial, and there's a track, but it's like there's a diopter on the front of the lens, and we're going into the pouring of some chocolate syrup on a chocolate sponge, and it's only a little track, but it has to be done at a certain speed, and it has to be sharp all the way through, and you're like really like, oh my God. And then you have to go, I've got to use the force, basically.
Yeah.
You set yourself some marks, you have a little practice, and you trust that your amazing grip is with you in your mind. And,
in sync.
And then you do it. Yeah. And then everyone's like, oh, great, it's lunch now. Bye.
But guys, I just done a shot in 10 minutes. It would normally take someone an hour. Come on, I want to fucking clap.
But actually,
I'll do that next time. Don't worry. If there's like a really tricky shot, we'll do a guard of honor as you're going to lunch. We'll just give you like fanfare.
Oh, no. I think people do see me sweat quite a bit, and but the most like it's like sometimes under pressure, which focus pulling can be so pressured.
Yeah.
You would not realize that my heart is basically pumping out of my chest, and it wants to try and get up somehow through my throat and out through my mouth. And especially when you're working with some actors that you're just like, the performance is just you with them, and you're just like, you don't want to mess up because you sense how much effort and stuff is going on for them and the operator, and you just like, I can't mess this up, it has to be right, has to be right. But yes, but I'd like to tell you about something I did recently. I won't tell you now, but a job I did recently that was incredible. But we'll get back to what you
I can't even remember what the question was. Go on, tell us the thing. Tell us the story.
All right, okay. So I did this job in July for Channel 4 with Stuart Bentley, and it was like a 2-week job, and it was one episode of not a series, but they're all single episodes of I Am, and they're female-led stories. And this one was called I Am Victoria, which hopefully will be out soon. And
what is it? Did you say Channel 4? Did you say?
Yes, Channel 4, and Vicky McClure and Gemma Chan and Samantha Morton. So this next episode is with Suran Jones and Ashley Waters. I'm not going to tell you about what happens in the story, but I'm going to tell you that that each piece is improvised. There are scenes, but the actors have to be free to move throughout the whole of the house, for example, if that's the location. So everybody, given it's COVID, there is a much smaller crew, and you don't really need that many more people because there's a lot of available light being used, and then just other things brought in to enhance.
More little practicals and stuff. You're not.
Yeah, exactly. But then you're wireless. Everything's wireless, and you hide. It's a bit like a documentary. I hide somewhere where I can still get a good picture and get good lens control.
Like a focus puller's ninja, just like
I mean,
sneaking around.
Yes, but it's really it's not easy, but it's easy to go down that route of just looking at monitors. And I would say that younger focus pullers do use monitors a lot, but I was taught by my focus pullers when I was a loader about, using a tape measure and watching the relationship between the subject and the film plane of the camera.
Yeah.
So you get to, and when you're working on Steadicam and the camera's moving and you build that instinct kind of develops and you get into a zone. So when you can't see the relationship directly between the operator and the actor, it's really like, especially if the framing is sometimes very tight, you're like, well, are they actually where they're going to go next? You don't know where they're going to go next. But what you do is acquaint yourself with the spaces. Like you go into the kitchen, I kind of measure spaces, so I go, well, actually, the big dining tables are 15 feet from the washing up, the sink, and Anyway, so this was amazing because it was really freeing, because right at the beginning, the producers came up to me and said, oh, you know what, which is very unusual. They said, do not put too much pressure on yourself. Obviously, we know you're a focus puller and you're good at what you do, but don't put too much pressure on yourself, because this whole story comes out right at the end in the edit. We haven't got
like a storyboard.
We haven't got storyboards. We've got scenes and the framework of the scene, and we know
They know the beats they want to get.
Story, we know the themes, we know, but don't worry about it. It will all happen at the end. And some of the takes were like an hour long.
What?
Stuart is just,
oh my
amazing.
Goodness.
He is amazing. He's so light-footed. I can tell.
What camera was he holding?
He was a little
like an iPhone.
No.
I'd even not be able to hold an iPhone up for an hour.
No, it was an Alexa Mini with Zeiss super speeds, and it was all really stripped, so it's so lightweight. But he has just got this like balance, and he's so nimble, and I asked him if he was good at dancing, and he didn't really reply.
He's a secret salsa.
He's just got the moves of such lightness of foot, and his framing is so beautiful, and
so just talk me through. So that kind of the scene that you're saying that lasted an hour.
Yeah.
Would it be like, right, boy and girl in house, they're having a discussion about something, and it leads to an argument, and then the argument then breaks down, and they forgive each other, and it's like the whole scene plays out. You're not just like picking out a moment.
It's moments. So say the story's over. Say the story was in real time a week's worth of narrative, something happens during a week. Then each scene, so the scene starts, say, in the kitchen, but then that happens, the improvisation, the dialogue in that kitchen, the physical place that the actors move together in that space, that can continue. The director doesn't have to cut. If he feels, he's feeling, but it's taking you somewhere else, then the actor might just take you off into another room, into another space, up the stairs. And then there's the director's feeling about when he or she thinks, right, that's it now. I actually like to go back to an earlier point there in the scene and try it again, but maybe with some notes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that feel, kind of coming from having a very strong foot in kind of short form, where it's like you've got 15 boards and those boards have been spoken about for 6 months, and we're here to give a tracking shot into the slow-mo chocolate. Is it a totally had you worked in that way before? Is that a totally new way of working?
I have worked where it's been quite freestyly with things before. Let me think.
Because I guess you
Yeah,
don't
I
know
suppose
where
like in
anything's
music
going to be.
videos, you know,
Yeah, good point.
music videos on
Yeah.
Steadicam where, yeah, and where, yeah, I have. But this was specific to that story and that project. It was really freeing. I mean, yeah, it was lovely because I just could focus completely. I wear cans a lot when I'm doing long forms work. A bit occasionally in short form if there's a lot of dialogue, but I wear cans because I find they help me connect more sometimes. Sometimes you don't need, the camera may not be obviously framed in a way that tells the story. Obviously there may be some unusual framing, or you might not see the characters but you hear them first. So then there are all sorts of kind of motivations for where the focus might be, whether it's on an inanimate object in the scene, or whether it's on the person who's not talking, or whether it's somewhere out there out the window, or whether, so for me, listening is really important. It helps me connect. It helps me connect to the environment, the scene, and what's going on. I'm just
gonna hear the cat.
You're just gonna go. He's deaf. He can't listen to me anymore. So he just makes noise and hopes that someone does something. Hang on a minute.
No worries.
Right, I've just given him some food.
Yeah, best way to shut any man up. Just stick him in front of a player phone. Nice. So I guess I feel like a question that where you started, you kind of started off being it felt like it was like in a very creative environment and quite hands-on in a creative environment, then went into the world of production. And at what point then did the PA and the PM suddenly become a point in your life where you went, actually, I need to get back into the creative world of camera?
Well, I kind of, when I was on shoots, I'd see camera and I'd be like, oh gosh, I really want to be there.
I want to be that. I
want
to
be there.
World.
And what's in all those boxes? Yeah. And why are there so many boxes? And but it was very hard. Camera crews seemed to be quite up themselves a bit, really. So not very approachable. And what happened was there was this little course in South London run by this, I guess it was a charity, and it was to help people. You could go on a 10-week course, a few days a week, and you could, if you already had industry experience of any kind, you could apply for it, go on it, and it would help you. It was specifically for camera, 16mm loading. And people like Alvin Kushler were teaching on it. A producer who I can't remember the name of, she ran it. So I guess it could have been a charity of some kind. It was called Halfway House. So I did that, and I met lots of other people like me. And
as in industry experience, but wanted to move into camera.
Didn't quite know where they were junior, and they didn't quite know, but they did want to go into camera, but they'd done other things. So they were kind of stuck. I was stuck. So I did it and got on, And then at the end of it, a few days after the end of it, I got this phone call, and another person on the course, she'd gone to her granny's in Portugal, so they'd phone me next, and basically they said, will you go and meet this DP tomorrow for a possible feature film? Go down to Repton Boxing Club and go and meet him. He's on a recce. I didn't really know what recce was. I went down to meet him, and it was Tim Morris-Jones.
Wow.
And it was Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. So I was like, yes, please.
Holy
So I was a
moly.
trainee. That was my feature film, first feature traineeship. And
what a good film to kind of
yeah,
jump in on.
It was quite mad, because it was like a bit like a pop promo every day, because most of the people who worked on it were from commercials and music videos,
Okay,
including the director and producers. That was their background. So it was amazing. But I was, I was the junior, and so Jake Markison was the clapper loader. He was just like, who is now one of the best focus pullers in the country, and who I just like, he's just one of the best. That's all I can say. And Peter Wignall was the operator, and he's still operating. And of course, Tim Morris-Jones. And then the focus puller was Matt Hale, but I don't know what happened to him, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's the end of go. What? The cat it's come back for round 2. Talking of boxing clubs. And so what does stepping onto that film set then? What was that like? How did it do? Were you nervous? Were you just excited? Was it just a mixture of everything?
It was a mixture of everything. I was really nervous. I mean, I lived in a flat, and I shared a flat with a costume designer who had gone. She was like on the upward curve of her career, and she had gone off to the Czech Republic, I think, to work on a Jake Scott film, one of the Scott Sons films. And so I was by myself in the flat for 10 weeks, and production had given me a car so I could pick up the script supervisor every day and drop off the rushes every day. And I was really nervous. I had never done anything like that, of that intensity, day after day, all those hours. And it was winter time, and and there were lots of young actors, really, like all the Jasons, really Nick Moran, Dexter Fletcher, Jason Statham, Jason Fleming. They were all there having this amazing time and really showing off and developing their characters. And it was exciting, and but yeah, very nerve-wracking, because there's you're a trainee, but you still want to do the best you can, and not knowing that much, and you can't do everything, but you just try and do the best you can when you're a trainee, and just do what you're asked to. And usually the DOPs and operators are always really good to the junior person. They always take care of them. They always like make sure that they're okay. And it's always the people in between who are working their asses off,
They're too busy.
I know.
Yeah, as you know. So where did that? So you kind of into the feature films, and then that was it. You got the bargain. Camera was it?
Well, yes. I because I'd already been loading with on pop promos a little bit. After that, I didn't have really very much money, so I didn't have any like cushion of any kind. So I had to basically, I didn't do loads of years of training. I kind of, lots of camera trainees now, they've gone to university and got a degree, and then they go and be trainees for 1.5 to sometimes even 3 years. I could not do it. I could not afford to do it. I didn't get paid that kind of trainee money that you get paid now for a start. So I had to just go out and start loading on promos and short films, which I did do. So it's mostly Super 16 and 35mm jobs. And I was lucky enough for Oleg Pupko to take me under his wing.
Love that guy.
And I don't know how he put up with me, but he did. And I did learn some stuff from him, but he's now like one of my best friends. But he was the person that gave me, him and Luke Palmer,
Nice.
gave me masses of opportunities.
When Luke Palmer DPing, when he lighting or focusing?
He was a focus puller then. So it was those, when I was a loader, it was those focus pullers. And then when I was more experienced, when I'd become a more experienced clapper loader, then I met Catharine Derry, because Gabby used to load for her, but she moved up, and everyone moves up. So then that began my long friendship and work relationship with Catharine. And me and Oleg sometimes work together, sometimes get him out on dailies on some dramas if it's quite nearby, just because it's really good fun.
It's like getting the band back together.
Really going to be good fun, and he loves it. He's just like, so we've had some really, like, over the last few years. We've done I have done a couple of feature films over the last few years, and they've been gorgeous. They're just, both of them are coming out now. And so he's been out a few times with me. He really loves it.
Does that start to make it feel like more of a family? It's like, the experience, the years, the people that you have around you. Does it kind of become does it become a film family then, that camera team?
Of course it does. But the camera team, it's the camera team, but you have to be open-doored about it. It changes all the time. People move on. People might want to decide that they want to do something different, but you have to take those year or few years you have with particular crew. Like at the moment, I work particularly with a second AC I met a few years back, and I know that she wants to move on she'd really like to move on at some point to be a crane technician. So I'm like, you have to do it. It's really amazing. You have to do it. But I'm not, she's going to be with me until she wants to move on. So yeah, you do gather people around you, and then sometimes you get taken into other film families. And there is a little bit of difference between like long form, high-end TV crews and short form, and so I kind of go between both of them. They're quite different, but when I come back to short form, commercial, I haven't done music video for ages, but I
think that might have been where we first met many moons ago, and I didn't even know what a first was, but I got put in charge of being a first. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but that, to me, that feels like coming home.
Yeah, nice.
That's where all those people are who've seen you, you go on a long job and you have a really quite intense relationship with people for a few months, and then it finishes, and then you might see them again on the next one, or you might not for ages. But in commercials, everything's moving around all the time. We always catch up. We always talk about each other and how did you see so-and-so, or what's happened to so-and-so. It's, it is, I feel that commercials is a particular kind of family, and the young people, young ones are coming into it all the time, and it's really exciting the way it's, growing like that. And what's really exciting is also knowing that you can, you're part of teaching people if you've got knowledge, which is really good. That's how it needs to be. That's how it has to be.
And that knowledge and that teaching, what would you now say to that young you? And I don't know whether it be, I don't know whether it be the you that turned up on Lockstock, or the you that was doing the PAing. But what would you say to that younger you?
I think I'd say, don't hold back as much. I was sometimes quite shy. And in this industry, it's always, the fact is, in this industry, it's people sometimes that shout the loudest that get the attention. And even if you think it's easy to like sit back and go, I really know this, I know how to do this, I know this, but you need to open your mouth and tell somebody. And that's what I wish I'd done sooner. But that's not to say that I haven't loved all the years that I was a clapper loader, and the places I went and the adventures I had. And then as a focus puller, now having so much more responsibility in the preparation for long jobs, and kind of overseeing my juniors and hoping that, you know, I'm doing the right thing and making sure that they're hopefully getting the right training and guidance. But also, you know, confidence is a massive thing in this industry, whether it's in commercials or, you know, as a first AD, that you have to show that you, even if you in the back of your mind you're like, I don't know if this person's going to turn up, or whether this is going to be right, or are the heavens going to open, or whatever. You've got to have that air about you that you know what you're doing, and even if things change, you're prepared. And I think the confidence thing is really important for younger people, and especially for women, younger women. And
well, that was when you said about your second AC that wants to be a crane tech. In my head, I went, have I ever seen or do I know of a female crane tech? And I don't know if I do.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of, I'm not sure. No, I don't know any.
Like, I just think that'd be amazing.
I know women grips, female grips.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what she said one day to me. She said, you know what? This is what I would really love to do. And if it hadn't been for, you know, COVID and lockdown, I think she'd be on her way now. And she's the right person to do it. She's got the right attitude, and she's got the right sense of humour, and she's focused, and she already does. She can jump easily between like being a clapper loader for me and a really well-paid grip assistant for, you know, for a couple of really fantastic grips. So it's, you know, she's a gem basically, and I don't really want to let go of her too soon.
Yeah, that's what happens. But I think that's really nice that you're helping her progress in her career, even though you know it's not gonna benefit you at, you know, it's not like she wants to be. Yeah, that's it.
That's what you have to accept.
That's it.
If you can accept that, like when I was younger, I was like, no, I want to control everything. I want this, I want to keep it like this. And it's like, that's not how things go.
No.
You've got to accept that people have to do, like, move and make choices that are good for them. And so that's important. And saying that, I did actually, during lockdown, I applied for the Screen Skills menteeship for operating, because I want to do more. I want to really take it further, and I got accepted.
Come on.
So, I know. So I've got a mentor now.
Hello, who is
Sean
it?
Savage.
Yay!
The president of the ACO, and I've met him a couple of times. He's came on and guested operating on a job I did last year. So I'm like so happy.
It'd be like this. Can you imagine like that cyclical thing? It's like all of a sudden they go, right, I'm your mentor, but we've got you a day's, you know, or a week shooting on a film, and the DB's Tim Morris Jones, and it's like all of a sudden, that, you know, the first. Can you imagine? It would just be like, there it is, the circle is complete.
Well, it's kind of like for the last year and a half, I've been doing little bits. Catharine Derry has been so supportive. So she gives me B camera operating jobs. Right. Nano Seagull has given me B camera operating on like a little feature film that she did called The Bike Thief. And then I've had, Arthur Mulhern has given me B camera operating days on his drama. So, and then
and it's adding a string to the bow. It's like, you know, B camera operating. That's like, so it's to but he also, we're not going to lose you. Don't tell me we're losing you.
No, well, I want to just be able to
do it all.
I want to come into commercials and be operating as well. Jamie Hicks is an operator on dramas and films is one of my heroes, and he rings me up every so often and goes, "God, can you come out and do this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm busy," and it happens a lot. And he did that recently, and I said, "Oh, you know, I'm going to try and do more operating next year when all this COVID has settled down." And he said, "You know what you're going to be called? You know what me and Richard Bevan called ourselves for a while? Fuck ops." I was like, "Oh, that sounds really good."
I like that. Fuck Ops Limited. Hi. Do you
yes,
fuck up?
I'm a fuck op.
I like that. And hey, I think it's like it kind of, you've got that this smile when you're talking about it. There's like this smile, there's this brightness, there's this thing. It feels like there's like this not new enthusiasm, but it's like after the year that we've had, to be here and to have something that you're like, that's where I'm going to.
That's what I've got to do, because life's too short.
Yeah,
and you know, and it has been shitty for so many people, and perhaps this space, I've had more time to read and watch films and watch webinars and listen to those experts who are up there making films and drama. And yes, when you're doing something that you're using more of the creative section of your brain, whereas when I'm a camera assistant, everything's so there's systematic. There are ways of doing things. You can change them a little bit when you're a camera assistant, but generally you learn from the people that have employed these systems already. And the only way to change things sometimes is when a new bit of technology comes along, and then you have to go, well, actually, at this point, we need to change it and do this in order for this to happen again. And so once I'm starting to use a different bit of my brain, hopefully, for creativity, it's like really exciting again. And I'm older now, but I want to spend, you know, I want to have that energy and to look forward to doing more things in my career. And, you know, you don't do things by yourself. Maybe if you're a writer, you do. But I get all that energy and love and stress and pressure and like what things from all those people, from you and all the people that I work with. That's where it all comes from, and it's different all the time. There are variables on how all the certain group of people work together compared to those, and you think, well, I've got to do my best, and I've got to be responsible because I'm older, and I've got to speak up when I need to, and I've got to make sure that everything is working and that nothing breaks down. But sometimes it does, but then manage it and problem solve when it does. So it's the problem solving which you become quite good at when you're an experienced camera assistant.
Yeah, nice. And I love the fact that with the experience that you've got, with the years of, you know, coming up the ranks, that there's still that, you know, it's that kind of the enthusiasm of youth to be able to say, I still don't know it all, and there's still something else that I want to do. You know, most people might go, I'm settled, I'm here, COVID's just happened, I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm not, you know, it's like, I know some runners that had just jumped up to second and that are back running, or some first that are back second, you know, it's like everyone's kind of half taking a step back, but you're like, fuck that, I'm going forward, I'm going at it. Come on, bring it on, man. I love it.
Everyone's got to take this as an opportunity.
Completely
to
agree.
You know, if they were holding back, they have to have faith and just go, I'm just gonna, come on, let's just try it. Let's just try it, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen in the new year or in spring, or, you know, there's all these other things going on outside of our filmy bubble. You know, the politics, the government, the everything. We know what's going on. Sometimes we try and not watch the news in order to just go, I don't want to know. But if, I mean, you know, of all the amazing things that have happened with our film community during lockdown, you know, the Fiver Friday, or all that stuff. I mean, it's just like mind-blowing. And they were all people who, they were coming from TV and, you know, everyone was suddenly becoming more aware of each other. All those different fields, if you like, were crossing over and making friends and supporting each other. So, you know, and what you've done with this as well,
thanks, mate.
It's just, it's been really important. It's adding layers to what it is that we do.
Well, we've kind of, Zoom's telling me we've done past an hour, and I want to kind of firstly thank you for coming on. And it's always tricky when I kind of get people that are in a very technical role, because you kind of think, well, am I going to understand what they're talking about? Are we going to get bogged down in the minutiae? But actually, what you're talking about, kind of, it's like, yeah, this is what I do and this is how I do it. But actually, there's so much wider experiences to be learned, to be had from being on a film set, and from, you know, you kind of, these experiences and these things that we have with people and these relationships. And I just want to thank you from kind of coming on and speaking so warmly and so openly about what you do and how you got in, because I think it's going to be such an important, there's going to be so many important little nuggets that someone that, you know, that might be young and female and go, fuck, I can't get into camera. You know, I'm a 17-year-old girl from South London. I don't know anything. And it's like, well, no, actually, it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your chances are. If, you know, the serendipitousness of the film industry, it's like, throw yourself in there as you're doing. It's like, throw yourself into the deep end, and it will happen. You'll learn how to swim. It's like that first day on your film set. That's going to probably be the same excitement that you get when you're camera operating, even though you've been in the industry for years and years. It's like those butterflies are back.
Yeah. And also the self-doubt and all that kind of
all of that, you know, the heartbeat in the throat.
Yeah, the heart in the mouth. But yes, it's of course. And I kind of want it to be like that, really, because otherwise the blood won't flow, will it?
No.
So,
well, thank you so much for coming on and for being part of the Film God podcast journey that I'm going on. I always love to kind of give the end of the episode to you, just so that you can give a shout out to anyone who you've mentioned a few names, but if there's anyone that you specifically, or something that you want to highlight, or anything, like, the floor is yours to have a little shout out.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Catharine Derry, Kirsten McMahon, Nanu Segal, Richard Mott, Luke Palmer, and Sarah Rollison, and Jessie Bruff, and Oleg Pupko, and my amazing second AC, Alison Stretfield.
Yay! Future Crane Tech.
Yeah.
Yay! I feel like I want to get her on now, just to do like
her on.
I should do it. It's like, I don't think I've got a second AC. Let's do this. Yeah. Holy moly! Well, look, mate, I just love that you've given me, you know, almost an hour and a half of your time on what is. I know that you're super busy because you're going into like this next block of work on a big long form. So thank you for kind of carving out the time to just speak to me. I really, really do appreciate it. And I love that, you know, for anyone that's listening, kind of, you know, hit Catherine with some little, you know, some thanks, some gratitude. If anything kind of hit home, hit her up on the Instagrams or the Facebooks or whatever, you know, whatever it is, just so that we're all connecting, so that we're all kind of getting back and talking to each other. So, ladies and gents, thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping us in all the charts. The Film God podcast listeners, you are amazing. And until we meet again, ladies and gents, that is a wrap. Woo! So that was a chat with the king or queen in the game. I'll give it a shout at the end so you all know the name. It's the Film Gods podcast. The what? The Film God podcast.